Hey guys, so today we're going to be going over the structure of bacteria and viruses. So we're just going to annotate these images to review. So I'm just going to make myself a little T-chart here to be able to compare and contrast. On the left we have bacteria, and on the right we have viruses. So our whole unit is viruses and microbes. Bacteria is also known as a microbe. So these are two things that can infect you and make you sick. In bacteria's case, right, there are more good bacteria than bad. You have a lot of bacteria. You have more bacteria cells in you than you do your own cells. So let's look at the difference in structure. So some really key differences to start off with. Bacteria is a type of cell, which means that it's living. Viruses, of course, are not living. They are not alive. We know that bacteria has no nucleus. So we can see here like the DNA is just sort of everywhere. It's not closed in on anything. Bacteria have no membrane-bound organelles. They do have, in some cases, a cell wall, and they definitely have a cell membrane because all cells have that. On the other hand, viruses, we know they're non-living. And because they're not living, they have no cell membrane and they have no cell wall. They have none of those structures. What is something that they have in common, of course, so I'm going to write both. All right, they both have genetic material. And what's something new that you may not have known before is that they have these little structures. So in viruses' case, they have these tail fibers. And in bacteria's case, they have these little things at the end of their cilia called pili, or plural is pilum. I'm going to write it out. So pili or pilum. And in viruses, they have tail fibers. Now, these structures help the bacteria or the virus to attach to tissue. So we know, like we've seen the diagram of viruses coming in and they're attaching to their host. The reason that they're able to attach to their host cell is because of these tail fibers. They sort of stick to that cell. Well, bacteria, they have that ability too. They don't inject their material like viruses do, but they could still infect the host because they're able to attach to that tissue. So it helps to attach to the tissue to then help infect the organism. All right, so this was the structural information for bacteria versus viruses. Before you get started on your practice, I really want to quickly review the function of bacteria. So I know I mentioned that it helps you digest food in your stomach. Something it does in the environment, I'm going to use a little drawing to help us. So on your paper, don't judge me for my drawing. Okay, so I'm going to draw a little bit of soil, and then I'm going to draw a flower. Yes, this is a flower with its little leaves. Okay. And then under the soil, right, something we can't see but we know is there, are these roots. And on the roots we have bacteria. So bacteria on the roots of plants help convert nitrogen in the air. I'm going to put N2, so it's like atmospheric nitrogen, into a usable form of nitrogen. So like this type of nitrogen can be used by plants. It's what we ingest, but we can't use all of this nitrogen in the air, and we need bacteria to help fix it for us. Okay, nitrogen also helps with decomposing organisms as well. So now that we've reviewed that, now we can go through and answer this question. So it's asking which of the following is not a benefit of bacteria. All right, so A tells me that bacteria fixes nitrogen from the atmosphere into usable form for plants. Well, that was my image. Yes, that matches. Bacteria on the roots of plants converts nitrogen and breaks down dead organisms. Well, yes, that nitrogen does help break down. So let's say you have like little fish that died in here. So that nitrogen would help, you know, break it down into the soil again. Yes, that means breaking down. Like I said, don't judge my drawings. All right, C, bacteria digest food inside the stomachs of many organisms. Yes, so it's essentially helping to break down your food. And then finally, bacteria releases protein from nitrogen. That does not make any sense to me. You don't spontaneously like produce or release protein from nitrogen. Those are two different compounds. So this is not a benefit. Therefore, this is my answer. So for the rest of class, what you are going to be doing is answering the rest of these practice questions. If you finish early, you have an extra credit opportunity that is displayed on the back of your Due Now. So make sure that you read the directions for these if you finish, but remember the practice questions are for a grade. All right, get started and have fun.